Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. We're going to give everyone a couple of seconds to join. I see people are joining from the waiting room. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's our weekly update. This is Sabrina Paganoni, and I'm here for the HEALEY ALS Platform Trial webinar. And if we can go to the next slide. Tonight, I'm really excited to join one of our new sites investigator, Dr. Whitesell from Idaho, and we are so excited. We recently included Idaho in our sites, your site as one of our sites, and that's wonderful because we didn't have any site in the state before. So important that you can bring the trial and ALS research in general to your community. So thank you so much for being with us, and we can't wait to hear from you. And please tell us more about your site and your experience in the trial.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sabrina. Our site here in Boise is very excited to be a part of the HEALEY Platform Trial. We are a fairly rural location. Boise itself is a good sized city, but outside of Boise, we draw patients from a fairly large rural community. And patients are very excited to be a part of this trial. Next slide, please. So here we are out west, kind of in between the mountain ranges. There's no shortage of beauty out here, as you'll see in the next couple of slides. Next slide. This is our neurology building. We share this with several other clinics. We serve both Idaho, but also Oregon and Nevada. Our neurology office has 7 outpatient neurologists and 2 neurohospitalists. We have a monthly ALS multidisciplinary clinic to serve our patients here in our community. And recently, we added a dedicated neuro research coordinator, which has really helped us to be able to start getting clinical trials and being involved more with clinical trials. Next slide. So we're in the far western part of the state, in Boise. You can see the map down here at the bottom. We're fairly close to the Oregon border, about 30 minutes from the Oregon border. And then Nevada is also not too far away. But it's not uncommon for us to have patients who travel sometimes even 4 and 5 hours for clinic visits. The wintertime is especially difficult because Boise is surrounded by mountains, as you can see over on the left side of the screen. And so a lot of times in the winter, we have patients who call and cancel their appointments because they just can't get there. We're also involved in an MS registry trial in addition to the HEALEY platform trial. Next slide. This is our small but mighty team. We have some dedicated providers who now have lots of experience with ALS patients. We started this clinic about, I'd say, 6 or 7 years ago. So people have really gained a lot of experience. We have a great physical therapist, Liz, and respiratory therapist, Jamie. We also have excellent speech therapist, Suzanne. I couldn't do anything without my medical assistant. You'll see her there in the middle. And our research coordinator, just to the left of her, Josh, has also been invaluable. We have access to a loan closet, actually a couple of different loan closets, which has been really helpful for our ALS patients. And then we also get help from the ALSA Association. Next slide. This is a picture of downtown Boise with mountains in the background. We are looking to expand by applying for additional or grant funding to help with our patients who want to travel to other sites and other clinical trials. That's come up a couple times with patients who have C9orf mutation or a different reason that they might want to travel. We also are looking, or I'm personally looking to expand taking care of ALS patients at the local VA and hope to do that in the next year or so. We're also looking to fill both the dietitian and social work roles in our clinic. Next slide. And that's all I got. Happy to
this
take
is
questions
wonderful.
at the end.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the pictures are beautiful. I've never been there. I hope to come and visit. So I know, Alison, you received a question for Dr. Whitesell. Do you want to ask it?
Sure.
To start?
Dr. Whitesell, how do you help your patients decide if research is a good option for them? And if they decide that it is, how do you help them decide which trial is best?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I introduce the topic whenever I make a new diagnosis. And at that point, I can help patients kind of try and decide if that might be an option for them. And then I also refer them to other websites such as the HEALEY Platform Trial website, and also clinicaltrials.gov. We go over different options there. And if they want to travel to go to a different clinical site, I'll try and help them get in contact with someone at that site.
Great, we got another question for you. Does your clinic offer or plan to offer expanded access?
That would be wonderful. We would love to do that. I hope to do that in the future.
Yeah, and I have to say, I love the slide where you presented your plans to expand. You know, obviously all of this requires, you know, funding and support. And I see that you are applying for grants for travel expenses, which obviously in out west is so it's important everywhere, but especially obviously in your location. So thank you for all your work trying to again expand the clinic. And I think it's the first time we are enrolling for ALS trials in Idaho, I think, or at least in recent memory.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So thank you for doing that and for putting in the work, and hopefully we can partner with you on more trials and expanded access and more options. So thank you for that.
Yep.
And, yeah, and then feel free to continue to type questions for our guest speaker or for all of us, and as well as our patient navigators, Catherine and Alison, are here with us. So as you know, we continue to enroll for Regimen E in the platform trial, and we are also working on the closeout procedures for the first 4 regimens so that we can share the results of these 4 regimens later this year. Next slide. This is our weekly enrollment updates. So far, we have screened 82 individuals for Regimen E, and 50 of them have been randomized within the regimen. So thank you so much again. This is a special time in ALS. There's, you know, drug approvals, possible drug approvals, so lots going on. We really, really appreciate the fact that people are enrolling in research so that we can continue to develop new treatments on top of the ones that, you know, were recently approved or maybe approved. Next slide. So I want to give a shout out to our patient navigation team, Catherine and Alison. Maybe why don't you present, you know, your most recent work on the next couple of slides. One of you, I don't know if you want to go next.
Sure. So, I mean, it's not anything super groundbreaking, but we do have a new resource that's available on the website. I wanted to just point it out to everyone here today. I think the main purpose, for those who follow us weekly, you probably know a lot of the general information contained in this brochure, but if anybody is kind of new, just dipping your toe into the trial, it's a great resource. There's QR codes and direct links to all of the helpful websites where you can find more information on the trial. It's also printer-friendly design, so if you want to print it out, bring it with you to your next clinic visit to help aid a discussion about the trial. That could be good use for it too, but it's on our website if you wanted to check that out, available to anyone who's interested. And we can head to the next slide. And this something we just wanted to share with the community that back in May, we sent out a research notification. So in other words, basically an email blast about the platform trial, because we wanted to make sure we were getting word out to people who maybe don't attend these webinars or who aren't on the ALS link, making sure we're hitting those geographies that maybe we weren't previously. So we sent it out to everyone who was signed up on the National ALS Registry through the CDC, which translated to 11,440 people. And basically, we just wanted to send that out as a reminder that the trial is very much still going. It's a perpetual trial. So even though Regimen E is currently the only regimen open, it exists and will continue to exist until we find answers. So if anybody wanted to sign up for that CDC National ALS Registry, you can visit their website to sign up using the QR code or link there.
Great, thank you. And feel free to share all of these resources with anyone and post on social media. Again, the reason for also creating the brochure and more letters, the CDC letter also contains links to educational pages, informational pages. That's really because we want to be available and we want to share information about the trial. You know, many of you are following us weekly, know all of these already, but we really want to reach as many people as possible. Next slide. And as always, you can connect with Catherine and Alison. This is their information. And we have more guest speakers coming up soon, which is great. Next slide. For more resources or information about the regimen that's currently enrolling, please refer to the recording of last Friday's webinar. This was a news webinar. And so you can find more information there, questions about Regimen E specifically. So I think that was the last slide. There's a couple of questions. One question about the timelines of the results of the platform trial, the regimen D. So regimen D will be in the fall. So regimens A, B, and C, the first three to be launched, sort of launched together. That's why they are a bundle. They started exactly at the same time, and so they will be released at the same time over the late summer, early fall. For D, as in David, that started a few months later, and actually they caught up because the rates of enrollment that we have seen, which have been great for our trial, so they've been able to make up time, and so they will be released in the fall, which is very exciting. And another question that I'm seeing, another question is about enrollment in Regimen E. So why is Regimen E not filling up as fast as the other ones, given that that's the only one available? That's a great question. So I would say that this is a little bit of a special time because of drug approvals and people, again, considering other options because of sort of all the FDA activities that are going on with oral edaravone and AMX35. So I think that that's a big factor there. Regimen E is also happening at the time when sites are also busy continuing to manage patients that are still in the open label extension of the previous regimens. And so maybe Dr. Whitesell, you can tell us more about it, but I believe you joined us for E, right? For Regimen E?
Yes, yeah, we recently joined. We've enrolled 3 patients so far.
That's fantastic. So again, I think that the sites, it's so great to see new sites and give new opportunities again to patients. That's what we're seeing, that the new sites are really, enrolling very well. Again, there's also capacity at each site to manage kind of the previous participants as well as the new ones. But I think, again, we will continue to make progress. Regimen is also intravenous, so it requires a few more visits. But again, I'm really hopeful that the enrollment rates will continue to pick up as we close the other regimens. And question from you again, Dr. Whitesell, are people asking you about open label extension, or is that too early to tell, or do you think most people will go into open label extension?
I think it's hard to say because we're really at the beginning. We've had one patient who's been enrolled now for, I think, maybe about 6 or 8 weeks. but that's probably the patient that we have the furthest along. Everyone else is not quite that far into the trial yet. So no, it hasn't really come up much in the discussion yet.
Yeah, and then to clarify, the open label extension will continue until the results of the trial are known. And in fact, that's why the other sites are so busy, right? So for the sites that have participated in A, B, C, and D, they are now following all their participants, many of their participants in the open label extension. That is still ongoing. So so we won't stop that until we have the results. So right now we're kind of almost at a transition phase where we are, kind of finishing up the previous sites, the previous regimens and enrolling for this new one. Great. So I see here a question about a book chapter that was mentioned last week during the webinar, and yes, that's the correct chapter. So maybe Catherine, can I ask you to put that in the chat, because yes, that so that everyone can see what Bruce was referring to last week. I also see another question about the next regimens. So when will the next regimens be added? So we are working hard on adding 2 regimens, hopefully end of 2022, if not early 2023, in terms of enrolling new people. We are actively working on setting those up. And so I think that the timelines are actually great. We're kind of closing out the first 4, again, over the next few months. We are sort of enrolling in regimen E or number 5, and then we're going to be ready to launch 6 and 7 right after. So I think the pace is good from that point of view. There is some capacity issues at the site, in the sense that every site can only manage so many participants at a time. I would say that I really want to compliment the ALS Association for releasing a request for grants to support sites. They are now going to support sites with their infrastructure, because that's so important. And in a way, that's the same topic that we were discussing with you, Jackie, earlier. There needs to be support to the sites so that they can continue to increase their staff, because the clinical hospitals do not pay for research staff. So it's the research center that needs to come up with the funding to hire and support, let's say, research nurses, research coordinators, so that they can do the clinical trials, they can do the expanded access. And so it's generally through a mix of donations, grants from foundations, and then obviously participation in trials as well. But again, there needs to be as much support as possible to be able to enroll more. I think we went through all the questions, and Jackie, I wanted to ask you any last word or any comments from your perspective in Boise?
No, I mean, I think, like you said, it is very time consuming to participate in clinical trials. So, like I'm doing this on top of like my full-time job already. So yeah, it is kind of slow moving at times, which can be a little bit frustrating.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for all you do and for being on this webinar tonight. And thanks to everyone who participated. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.